Spotify for Artists now offers 4 distinct marketing options that they are rolling into one neat little package called Campaign Kit. These 4 options are all available inside of Spotify for Artists depending on your access level, and they are pitching to editorial playlists, discovery mode, marquee, and showcase. Now, 2 of these are free. Pitching to playlists is completely free. Discovery mode is technically financially free on the front end, but they do take a percentage on the back end, whereas marquee and showcase are both paid up front marketing options. The question is, are all of these options worth using? Should we be using all 4 of these every single time we release a song? Which ones should we use of the ones that are to be used, and how can we best leverage those to our advantage? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about all 4 of these, and we're going to look at how we can use them and which ones we should pay the most attention to. Okay, so before we can even get to these Campaign Kit options, we have to get access to them. Now, when you're a brand new artist on Spotify, the only one you technically have access to is pitching to Spotify's editorial playlists. All the other 3 have to be unlocked by achieving certain metrics on the platform before you get access to them. So for discovery mode, this is the most complex one. It says you have to have 25,000 average monthly listeners. You have to use a certain distributor. I have never found access to discovery mode to be as rigid as they claim it is on their website. I've seen really small artists with hardly any listeners get access to it, with big artists who have a lot of listeners not having access to it. So I think it all is kind of nebulous, and this is probably why this feature is still in beta. Just pay attention to your campaign tab if you want to look for it, and you'll see it pop up when you do have access to it. Now for marquee and showcase, the rules are a little bit more clear. You have to have 1,000 streams in one of the target markets over the last 28 days, though I'm pretty sure showcase, you only have to have 1,000 streams total, not in one single market, or maybe a combined markets. I'm not really sure. Again, it's all a little bit nebulous. Just pay attention. If you want to use any of these, you have to see if they pop up for you specifically. But you do have access to playlist pitching every single time after you have claimed your artist profile with Spotify for Artists. But taking a step back for a second, how do we even get access to these tools? They all require a certain level of traffic to our artist profile to be able to open them up. So how do we do that? Well, there are a few different options. Obviously, you can make a lot of content to try to drive traffic to your artist profile. You can use playlisting, which I'm no big fan of, or you can use ads. This is my favorite way to do this. Ads are the best way to drive early traffic to your artist profile and go from kind of 0 to 1 to unlock these marketing features and start to build in listener attention and fans and people who are actually saving and streaming your music on a regular basis. In fact, this is what we focus on specifically with my agency DuPree X. We have helped hundreds of artists over the years drive that early traffic to their profile, unlock these marketing options, and build a solid foundation of marketing and growth on Spotify and other DSPs so that they can build on top of that and add all of these other features to their marketing toolkit. Okay, so the first of these 4 features inside of Campaign Kit, pitching to editorial playlists. You should absolutely pitch every single song you release, or every single release, I guess you release if it's multiple songs, to Spotify's editorial team, but not for the reason that you think. It's not really to get on editorial playlists. That does happen sometimes, but by and large, unless you're Taylor Swift or Ed Sheeran or some other massive global blue chip artist, nobody's actually reading your pitch. The primary reason to pitch your song to Spotify's editorial team is to give Spotify's algorithm an understanding of where your song belongs, because a computer is reading 99.999% of all the pitches in the world to Spotify for Artists. I mean, tens of thousands of songs are released to Spotify every single day. There's no way that Spotify is going to hire enough people to read all of those every day. A computer's doing the work. So you want to paint an algorithmic picture of where your song belongs. That means in your pitch, including things like similar artists, specific songs by those artists that you think your track would belong alongside of, like if it was played, let's say, in a radio playlist. Playlists, editorial playlists that you think your song would be on in the off chance that you do end up on one. These can be both editorial and personalized editorial, which is kind of like an algorithmic editorial playlist of sorts. Don't overlook hashtags. Spotify uses hashtags for discovery, especially when you're scrolling through clips in the mobile app. For a lot of artists and a lot of songs, you'll see hashtags down there at the bottom of the display. So don't neglect hashtags. If you have a few that you think will work, put those in there as well. But most importantly, outside of painting that algorithmic picture, the real reason you want to pitch every single time to Spotify's editorial team, I'm going to keep doing that, is to get on the release radar playlist of the people who follow your artist profile on Spotify. This is an easy access point to get into people's libraries on day one, especially people who consume music very regularly through Release Radar. So always pitch, make sure you get that out there. Don't skip this part. However, you probably should skip discovery mode. Now, I'm not saying you can't test this. If you want to test this on your own, absolutely test it on your own. Lord knows I have tested it many times. I have seen a lot of artists test this. The reason I say skip discovery mode is because every single time I have tested and every single time I have seen other artists test discovery mode, it has not really ended well. I'm not really sure why or how. The math and code of this is above my pay grade, but Spotify seems to trade algorithmic streams from other sources like Discover Weekly for radio streams when discovery mode is active, because I'm pretty sure, well, at least it feels like Spotify takes 30% of all streams for tracks that are opted into discovery mode through discovery mode channels like radio, which means if a song is getting, let's say, 10,000 streams, and that song is getting 10,000 streams from Discover Weekly pre-discovery mode, when they activate discovery mode, when the artist activates discovery mode, let's say Spotify pulls 5,000 streams over here, and now there's 5,000 Discover Weekly, 5,000 radio. Spotify is getting a 30% cut of those 5,000 as opposed to the 5,000 that are at Discover Weekly. And over time, what I've seen happen over and over and over again across genres, across artists, across accounts, is Discover Weekly numbers come down, radio numbers go up, and the payouts for the artists go down as well because Spotify's taking a 30% cut. And then on top of that, every single time I've seen this used, it takes about a quarter, 3 months, once discovery mode is turned off, for an artist to start to see the original algorithmic traffic they were seeing via Discover Weekly and just regular radio streams that are non-discovery mode streams. So it kind of dings your account and dings your traffic and makes your account get addicted to discovery mode, and then you have to kind of wean yourself off of it as an artist to get back to baseline. Again, I think there's a reason this is still in beta. I don't necessarily believe there's something nefarious going on. Maybe there is. I don't know. I don't work at Spotify, but I kind of doubt it. I think mostly that they just haven't figured out how to implement this very well without kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. And one last note on discovery mode. Realistically, if you're running ads regularly, you're kind of creating your own discovery mode algorithm anyway. That's what discovery mode is. It's an ongoing thing that's constantly feeding your music to new people. That's what an ad campaign does. The upside of an ad campaign is then you can retarget those people for leads to get their email addresses and for sales to sell merch and downloads and physical copies of your music. You can't do that with discovery mode. So just trade ads for discovery mode, stick that in your campaign kit, and bypass discovery mode. All right, next up, Marquee. Marquee is incredibly powerful for new releases. I love Marquee. It's actually been really effective since it rolled out. I have yet to see a Marquee campaign just completely fail miserably, especially if you have enough of a budget to use it. I always recommend, if an artist asks me, should I use Marquee to push my release? Yes, if it is within your budget and you can afford to spend the amount on the campaign. The more you spend, obviously, as with any kind of marketing campaign, if you have something that works well and is effective, the more you spend, the more results you will get. So the way I kind of like to do it is to split my budget between ads, running an effective release ad campaign for the first week, and running a Marquee campaign for a new release as well. Those two things combined work really powerfully and really can help drive a song's popularity score to that 20% mark by the following Friday. If you're releasing on a Friday, you get to 20% by the following Friday. You get that release radar spike that pushes your song further. Then you get on Discover Weekly and everything starts to happen for you and life feels good. For new releases though, Marquee isn't the only game in town. I would also consider using Showcase. So the hat trick for a new release really is kind of running a meta ad campaign using Marquee if it's available to you, and also using Showcase if it's available to you. Both Marquee and Showcase display on the homepage of Spotify's mobile app, but just in different ways. Marquee is a big display that takes over the screen. Showcase is more of a discovery feature within the feed. Both of them work great. The cool thing about Showcase, though, is it's kind of an advertising multi-tool. So you don't just have to use it for new releases, though that is a really effective way to stack it. You can also advertise leading up to new releases to re-engage your previously active listeners and your active listeners to kind of prime them and bring you back, let's say, top of mind as an artist. So if you haven't released something in a while and your numbers have kind of gone down, people have kind of forgotten about you, you can kind of remind them like, hey, over here, I do exist in the weeks leading up to a new release. And then when you drop that new release, they're like, oh yeah, I've been listening to this artist. They have a new song out. they're more likely to click through on it because you are top of mind for them. Now, obviously, these features on Spotify all have the drawback of not being able to retarget people to achieve other results as an artist. This is one of the reasons, this is, I would say, the biggest reason I'm such a believer in ads. I believe that even if you're posting organic content and that is how you are sending traffic to Spotify and you've never run an ad in your life, you should still consider learning how to run ads to collect leads and to sell products as an artist. These two things will add to the longevity of your career and help you to build something more than just kind of spraying and praying with content or just hoping to make all your money off of streams, which we all know is very difficult to do. But having said that, if you do want to grow on Spotify specifically, I do think that 3 out of these 4 options are really, really good things to use to springboard your song further and reach more people. There is the opportunity that people will discover your music and then go backwards from Spotify to social media to discover you there. And then you can hit them with ads to get leads and sell stuff if that's what you want to do. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this and you want to go deeper with topics just like this every single week, then I hope that you'll subscribe to my newsletter, The One Thing. Every week I send out one thing that I am either thinking about or testing to help you succeed as an independent artist. So if you do want to subscribe to that, I'll leave a link to do so in the description of this video. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.